Yeah, I thought he was really good in practice again today. You know, we learned in summer league like he's ready to go when the ball's in the air. Went in there with 6-7 minutes left in the game, and he really played hard, I thought, and competed. The one thing, kind of held it a little bit offensively. Took a couple tough shots that went in, and one of the things we talked about was just making sure he's developing a really sustainable style of play, where he's not, his success isn't predicated on whether or not the ball goes in. And I thought he did that in practice today and still looked good. So he's done a nice job. He's been impressive. He's got a lot of advocates in the building. There's people that believe in him, and it's because he's consistent, he's competitive, and he's a good team guy.
Mark, I know it's early, but how do you sort of foresee what role Derek Favors is going to have? And you're trying to mix in so many young guys that he's certainly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't seen him live yet, which makes it tough to answer that specifically. I will say, I've mentioned this before, there's player development, which is important with young players. They need opportunities, they need experiences so that they can grow from them. But there's also other things we're trying to develop. We're trying to develop professional habits. We're trying to develop a program. We're trying to constantly develop our team, our style, identity. Those, just like player development, those are ongoing, and a guy like Derek can help you do that. A guy like Kenrich, Mike Muscala, those guys can help you do that. So there's definitely value to him. We're looking forward to him being available, and it's going to unfold as it does. That position, like I mentioned the other night, is probably a little bit fluid, where we're going to look at a lot of different things. It kind of changes our style based on that, and he's definitely in those plans.
One of the through lines between the last couple seasons, just is you've had some veterans at that center position. How does that impact or help a young team who's trying to learn defenses and coverages and where to be in positioning and that type of thing?
Well, pick and roll is so dominant in the NBA that defensively, your pick and roll defense is like critical, and your pick and roll defense starts with the coverage call. And having, an experienced guy back there that can sniff out what's about to happen, call the coverage. Now you have the opportunity to develop your guards as pick and roll defenders, because the coverages are getting called consistently, and that, if it's Mike or if it's Derek, they're going to get them where they need to be. And now that helps Trey Mann develop as a pick and roll defender. It helps Josh develop as a pick and roll defender. And so that's a critical position defensively. It's basically the quarterback of the defense. It's like middle linebacker. And then offensively, with the way we play, we obviously play through those guys a little bit too. And so when the guy has the ball up there in the middle of the floor and we've got movement around him, they have the opportunity to quarterback the offense there too. So there's a lot of weight to that position with the way we play and in the NBA, as a whole.
This is just kind of for someone I'm working on down the line, but what is your, have you developed over, now you've been doing this a year, your game day routine? These are
Mine?
Yeah, your personal. Is there something that you, need to get to every single day to feel totally prepped and ready for the game on game day?
Yeah. Type this NAP. We meet in the morning. We do game prep in the morning. A lot of the players come in here, so we're all kind of in here for them in the morning. We don't do home shoot-arounds. We shoot at the arena, just to shorten the window of time that they're on their feet in the day. So in the afternoon, I go home and I nap, and then I have a cup of coffee, and then I go to the arena and do a little prep. But I go to bed really early, and so if I don't nap, it's halftime, and I'm punch drunk. So.
What's the reasoning for doing the walkthroughs at the arena before the game rather than home shoot around?
Yeah, so we've done that for a few years now. It's basically the cumulative benefit of the mental space they get from that. The reality is most guys come in on a game day at home, but it allows them to come in on their terms and allows them to get done what they need to get done. And I actually think it creates a lot of autonomy for young players where, I'm watching Darius Bazley work out right now. He's got to figure out at 20, 21 years old what he needs on a game day in order to prepare himself to play that night. If you just make them come to shoot around, you're not developing that autonomy. There's no ownership for him in his day. He's just going through the car wash. And so there's that. And then the cumulative impact of if shoot-around's at 10, they're probably leaving their house at 8:30. They're getting here, getting on the court a little bit, then the shoot-around's an hour, then they're staying on the court like this, shooting free throws, and they're home at like noon. And then you're turning around, they got to be at the arena at 4:30. I mean, you're really like shortening their downtime on the day. There's sleep factors as well. If you let them sleep a little longer, they get more sleep, especially in season when you're traveling and stuff like that. It was a strong recommendation it's been a very collaborative decision. It's a strong recommendation from our medical and performance staff. It's something our coaching staff has followed the lead on. And listening to Horford talk about it at the end of the year, it's given us a lot of confidence that we're on the right track, because I think it was something he was really appreciative of, is that we didn't waste time with shoot-arounds. We did the shoot-arounds on the road when we needed to, which we still do. But at home, it allows guys to have their own game day routine. And for young players, like I said, it allows them to own that process, which I think is healthy.
I know some teams are still doing a kind of a traditional shoot-around, but other teams are trending toward you guys. Did you all try to scope out the league and sort of see like what other teams are doing in that?
No, we're running our race on that, and I think there's like a narrative that with a young team, you've got to do it to, set the tone. You can set the tone a lot of other ways. We're using the collective wisdom of not only our staff from a lot of different functions in a very integrated way, but also our players. I think they appreciate, when you respect their time, they appreciate that. And then when you ask for their time, they're more likely to be engaged when you do that. And the question with shoot-around always is like, is it worth asking them for their time in that window? I think there's other, like a hard practice like today, we'd rather them be more engaged in today's hard practice when we're really going than to ask for more from them when we're jogging through stuff that we can do at the arena at 4 o'clock.
Kind of along those same lines, I know it's a small sample size, but are you seeing anything from the rookies and how they're starting to develop those routines with that time that they have?
I'd be lying if I said I knew right now. It takes time. And especially like they haven't gone into the season yet. So like Trey Mann's out here watching DJ Wilson and Baisley play one-on-one because he probably just doesn't want to go home right now. He's like trying to figure out like, all right, now what do I do? And I think it takes time to do that. You got to go through the season, and learn that. And what we really try to strike is we try to help guide them, through that. So we're not going to say, hey, Trey, get out of here, or hey, Trey, come in tomorrow at 9. It's like, hey, it's a game day. What's worked for you in the past? What do you need to get ready to play? Okay, how can we build that in a way that's predictable for you? We don't, if they're erratic on a game day, if Trey Mann was, different every game day, we would address that with him because we know that's not best for him. He should develop that, but we're also not telling him what to do. We're not looking for compliance. The guys that are like really impressive pros, they're completely self-sufficient. And, the guys that aren't self-sufficient pros yet, that's the goal, is for them to be self-sufficient. So we want them eventually to be able to take the wheel, and we're just trying to guide them into that process.
Sorry, back to you personally. We talked to all the guys about kind of what's on their mind as they're heading to the arena, and they have a physical competition.
You know how uncomfortable this is for me,
I
right?
know, that's why I want to needle you a little bit with
Great.
it. But you're heading into a competitive environment.
Yep.
And more of a mental standpoint for you. What's going through your head as you're driving to the arena, walking into the arena, and getting yourself geared up for that mental competition?
The game's a very emotional time when you play it, and for me personally, I try to bring a level of poise and a more even temperament to that environment because they're gonna bring the emotion. Competition's emotional. So I try to counteract that, to be honest. I try to be, a little bit more even. I don't get amped up before the game. I don't get really anxious. Like I look at it very tactically. I look at it like a puzzle. And at the end of the day, the game's their time. Practice, stuff like that. We have to take care of our business now. This is our time. But the game's their time, and it's like, how do you put them in positions to be successful? They're the ones that go and win the games. Coaches can lose games, though. I've always felt that. You can lose a game as a coach. You can make the wrong decisions, put the wrong lineups on the floor, manage the game incorrectly. But a coach can't win a game. You don't watch a playoff game and say, man, Budenholzer won that game tonight. The players go win the games. So it's really about positioning them for that and making sure that we're just doing everything we can to support them and help them compete that night. So that's really my focus.
Hello, coach. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. I'm fine. Thank you very much. Well, after a season as head coach of the Thunder, how excited you are about the growth of your team last season until now, and what is the real potential of those players, especially for players like Lou, Shea, and the young core of last season's team?
Those guys have been impressive. They've got a great way about them in terms of being able to see the bigger picture. They're going to have long careers because they're really good players. And the thing, especially about Lou and Shea, that's impressive is, like I've said this before, but they're extremely present in their work and in the competition, and yet they can connect the moment, today's game, today's practice to a bigger picture. And they've got like an investing mindset to that, which I think is pretty unique. They're all a year older. They all look a year older. Some of them look a year older physically. Baisley and Maladon, Poku definitely stand out there. They're all a year older mentally. It doesn't make the season any less challenging or any more difficult or any less difficult, rather. But I think they're just a little bit more mentally ready to endure that and thrive, in that. And I'm really, honored to be a part of that process with them. They're really, really good guys and good professionals and really good players. I have a lot of belief in them, and I'm extremely excited about seeing how they continue to grow this season.
And also about the rookies. The rookies about Trey, Aaron, and Josh Giddey as well. What is your main expectation this season?
I try not to have any expectations. Just let it unfold. I think sometimes when you have expectations, it can create confirmation bias or self-fulfilling prophecy. Just trying to, like I said, it's hard to be an NBA player. It's especially hard when it's your first year. Really try to support them and guide them as best we can, and let it unfold from there. And oftentimes when you do that, they surprise you in a lot of ways. And so looking forward to that as well with those guys.